Morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everyone. Just give us a few minutes to get the time for everybody to join our lobby. Amazing. Okay. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everyone. On behalf of all of us at the Bisexual Research Group, I would like to officially welcome you to the 24th Bisexual Research Plus conferences. We are coming to you today from all over the world to cherish our queerness, communities, and progress towards social justice. These are troubling times as authoritarianism gains consensus in many countries, while at the same time colonization creates wars and humanitarian crises like the current ones in Lebanon, Gaza, Sudan, Congo, Haiti, and Ukraine. We stand for global human rights, and we don't want to see any rainbow flag waved over the rubbles of war and destruction. And today, in these 2 days conferences, we invite you all to become involved as researcher and activist in these struggles to reach for a global ceasefire. Please engage with others because no university and LGBTQIA plus movement should be complicit in genocides. As we are here today, we remember our queer history from Stonewall onwards, that there is no queer liberation in imperialism, colonization, and genocide. And in the words of our queer foremother, Marsha P. Johnson, no pride for some of us without liberation for all of us. So welcome here.
Thanks, Aurelio. So before we get started for the conference today, we thought it was important to tell you all a little bit about the Bi Research Group team. So that's all of us here this morning who are going to be speaking. We are an international group of 6 researchers and activists, and we have been working very hard to plan today's event. So thank you all for joining us, and we hope you are as excited as we are about the day and the whole weekend that we have planned for you. So first, I will introduce myself, and then I will hand it over to the other 4 leadership committee members for them to tell you a little bit about themselves as well. So my name is Gabrielle. I am a PhD student in Montreal, Canada. So it's quite early for me this morning, but I'm very excited to be here and nice and awake. I study at Concordia University, and my research focuses on bi histories of activism and community building in Ontario and in other parts of Canada as well. I engage in oral histories and archival research, as I also have a background in archival sciences. So I kind of, my research is academic, but also very community oriented as well, as I try to engage with other bi plus community members within my research endeavors. So I will pass it over to whoever wants to speak next.
Hi all, my name is Derek Solberger. I'm actually a data science instructor at Princeton University and joined onto this group to try to help out if anybody needs the numerical side of their research projects. I will definitely help you as your analyst. And these days, I just joined this university this year, and right now I'm trying to form a partnership with their gender and sexuality studies department to work with them as well. And I'll popcorn things over to Lucia.
Thanks, Derek. Hi to all. I'm Lucia Tralli, she, her pronouns, and speaking to you from Bologna, Italy. It's an incredible rainy day, so very un-Italian for us. So I teach media and gender. I'm an adjunct professor at the American University of Rome. And concerning bisexuality, I research mostly the bisexual representation in the media, in fictional media, both Anglophone media and Italian media. So I am the TV series nerd of the group. And then I will pass the mic to Aurelio probably again.
Okay, thanks, Lucia. Hi, everyone, and kia ora. I'm Aurelio, pronounced he, any. I'm a researcher also from Italy, and I'm speaking to you from Bologna and Rain as well. I'm a bi+ activist and scholar, and in the last 10 years, I focused on the history and construction of the bi+ orientation, but also inquiring the narrative and stories of bi+ men and bi+ parents. And overall, I'm trying to understand how we can build a movement, a national movement also here in Italy. And I'm really happy to welcome you all here. And so I'll wave the flag to Ellen. Thank you.
Thank you. Lovely to meet you all. My name is Ellen Davenport Pleasance. I use she, her pronouns. I'm currently in the very final stages of finishing up my PhD at UCL. So I'm Zooming to you all today from London, currently sunny London. So I think we might have swapped weather with Italy for once. And my research is mixed methods. It's in the borderlands between psychology and sociology, and I focus on bisexual plus motherhood. So I'm looking at well-being, relationships, and experiences in families with bi+ mothers through a mixed methods study. And I think that's all of us to introduce ourselves. So I'll just tell you a little bit about the Bisexual Research Group for those of you who are getting involved with one of our events for the first time. So for those of you who haven't been involved in our conferences or events before, we are an international organisation working to better understand bisexual, pansexual, polysexual, plurisexual and queer experiences, and to raise awareness about the community and increase our visibility in both research and activism. Our group aims to make bi+ research accessible to all and to connect researchers, activists, artists, and community members across the world and across interdisciplinary fields. Through our events, we aim to explore, analyse, and challenge the ways in which bisexualities shape people's lives, and we strive to advance new forms of multidisciplinary knowledge. Besides conferences and events, we also host researcher meetings, which we hope to resume after this conference, involving discussions around different bi+ topics, presentations from bi+ researchers, and reading groups where we discuss the latest bi+ research being published.
As you all know, the 23rd of September was Bisexual Visibility Day, which has been recognized every year since 1999 and is now celebrated in more than 30 countries. It is a day for increasing the visibility of all bisexualities, together with 24th of May for Pansexual Visibility Day, and raising awareness of the challenges bi+ people face. It's also time to be proud and create space for political change, because monosexism, biphobia, erasure, and invisibility won't go away by asking nicely. We would love to, but alas. And we believe that through our communities, activism, and research, we can tackle these issues.
For that, we have some exciting days planned with panels covering topics from community to lived experience, from political struggles to relationships. We also have a very exciting workshops and roundtables planned for the whole weekend, which include workshops on intimacy, discussion about representation in media, and a keynote session on bi-masculinities with bi poetry, and the historic Robin Ox to close out the last day this Sunday. You can also follow us along for the full day, and whenever you have a snack break or anything else, don't worry about it at all, and you can still find us here on our 2 Zoom streams. You can rejoin using the same link. Before we get started, I would like to run through some housekeeping for the day. First, let me remind you of Zoom etiquette. Please mute your microphones when you are not actively speaking and control background noise to the best of your ability. As with the last 3 years for the past bi group events, we do record our sessions, and we want you to engage in whatever way you feel the most comfortable for you. If this means turning on your camera or keeping it off. We will be recording the sessions and post a video of the event afterwards, and we will cut the question sessions so as to leave only the presentations themselves. Our code of conduct has a zero tolerance policy for any sort of discrimination and hateful language, so please be mindful of the language you are adopting during the event. We encourage all the participants, speakers, and attendees to share their preferred pronouns in their Zoom names and to speak with inclusive language. If you encounter any sort of issue during the day, you can email any one of us or put your questions during the chat, private messaging allowed as well. And finally, for the speakers, please remember that we have a tight schedule and we would love to be able to have time for questions. So please be respectful of that time allotment. Test your mic and video before you talk. You will have the possibility to share a PowerPoint with the audience during your panels and workshops. Finally, if you don't already follow us on social media, please do. Our handle is Bisexual Science, and you will find us on Twitter and Instagram. Our hashtags for today, let me get them in chat, is IBRC 2024 and Bisexual Science. We encourage you to live tweet throughout the day and tag us, please, in your posts. Help us spread some exciting bisexual research today. Back to you, Aurelio.
Thank you, Derek. Amazing, as always. To kick off the first day of the conference, we welcome our founder, Dr. Julia Shaw, psychological scientist at University College London, best known for her work in the area of bisexuality, false memory, and also criminal psychology. For those who don't already know, Julia started these conferences back in 2020 while working on her amazing book by The Hidden Culture, History and Science of Bisexuality that has been translated in many languages, including Italian, across the world. So let's give the floor to Julia for some inspiring words.
Hello, it's so nice to be here and to see that this is such a thriving space still. I am pleased to see already 47 bi plus interested people, maybe quite a lot of bi people themselves in the audience, and hopefully you will be spoiled like every other year with fascinating conversations. So in terms of what I hope that people get out of these kinds of conferences, I think some of the main things are just access to research. So it can be quite difficult to know what the right terms are, know, who the researchers are doing different research in different areas. And this is hopefully a place where you can come. I think it's the only place of its kind in the world where you can really firsthand hear from the researchers themselves, which I find always an incredible experience because you can really see the passion that goes into all of this research. There's a quote that I really like from Hermann Hesse, who's a Nobel laureate. He's not queer as far as I know, but he writes this quote, which is to surrender yourself to the ecstasy of discovery. And I encourage you all to do that, to surrender yourselves to the ecstasy of discovery over the next over this weekend, and to really look for terms and concepts and maybe share it on X or share it on Instagram, share it on TikTok, things that you've learned to spread the word about these incredible researchers who are really on the vanguard of trying to understand and further push for the rights of bisexual people, bi plus people. So certainly some of the things that I've learned in previous years that I found fascinating, to pick up Ellen's research, for example. And I talk about quite a lot of this research in my book as well. So I interviewed quite a lot of people who were involved certainly in the early days in 2020 for my book. But one of the things that people often find surprising is the experience of motherhood in bisexual communities. And so how being a bi plus parent in general means that you typically have at this moment, which doesn't happen in other queer spaces or for other queer identities, where you have to come out. Or not, in which case you might be invisible. And so there's this interesting thing where, because most people are in a relationship with one person and that person has, well, a gender, then you to keep your bisexual identity alive and that reality and that visibility, it involves sort of more active steps and saying, I am bi. And that is both challenging and an incredibly empowering experience. And so I think for me, certainly hearing about access to resources for bi plus mums was always really interesting. Questions around when should you come out to your kids? So I guess that what I'm trying to say is that quite a lot of the things that I've learned over the years at this conference have turned the questions that I had upside down. So we often ask about when should kids come out to their parents? Or how can we make space for kids to come out to their parents? But we should also be asking, how do we make sure that parents can come out to their kids? How do we make sure that, older people could come out to their friends and family? So I think that there are questions around coming out, questions around finding each other. I also find it's incredibly empowering to see the other people who are, well, bi quite often, and also who are doing this. And I always find the spaces that these kinds of events create I always feel with my heart very full. And we know from research that bisexual people are among the least likely to be connected in with queer communities compared to other queer identities. And so these kinds of spaces are really important because there's lots of places where there's no bi club, there isn't really a place where you can go and hang out with other bis. And this is that place. And I think that is always really beautiful. So also you can, ask each other, maybe you'll make a friend, I don't know. You can connect with each other on Instagram and follow each other. I mean, it doesn't just have to be the presenters. I mean, I definitely encourage you follow them, but it can also be other people you meet potentially if you find each other in the chat or in the questions. Finally, what else do I find really, there's always so much that I find in these spaces. Some of the stuff I've just randomly got. You might know these books, Kinsey's original books. Something that I guess I wanted to say with this, which is Sexual Behavior in the Human Male, which some of you will be familiar with, some of you will not. This is one of the original books on queer experiences, and it's by Alfred Kinsey, who was a biologist actually, but he did sexuality research, and he came up with the Kinsey scale, which you're probably familiar with. And the Kinsey scale allows you to think about sexuality on a spectrum. He put it from 1 to 7, but for other people, 1 to 6.
Please mute your microphone on the.
He put it on the spectrum, and the idea was to increase the conversation and to change the conversation from this idea that you have to be either gay or straight. And he found that most people are somewhere in the middle, or at least a lot of people are somewhere in the middle in terms of their experiences and in terms of their desires. And this was published in the late 1940s. And that's what I wanted to highlight, is that this book, which was an international bestseller, this was on the bestseller list for a year. Look at this. Look at it. It's just research. Just straight research. Look at it. This is not how bestsellers normally look. And yet. And so this idea that this is a new conversation that's being had is nonsense. We've always been talking, or at least since for the last 100 years or so, we've been talking about bisexual experiences, and researchers have been trying to increase the acceptance and understanding of the beautiful multiplicity of the sexual experience. So I'm hoping that that's what happens here. Aurelio.
Thank you, Julia. Amazing as always, and thank you for bringing your words. And of course, it is a place, yes, for research, but also for community, for building friendship, for building long-lasting relationship, and at a transnational level. We won't be here without our historic or bi-plus organization from the 70s, and also the recent ones. So please get in touch, get involved, build networks, because we need the visibility, we need the legal protection, and we need to talk about bi-plus sexualities, aspect sexualities, and of course an alliance between all the different identities, also in these troubling times. So thank you, Julia, and please everyone refer to our program and plan your Zoom connection accordingly. Just to kickstart our amazing 2 days conference, we're going to have the first panel. Just remember, we have 2 streams, a green one and a pink one. You can't miss those. The first one will be on Bisexuality Plus on the screen and in your earbuds. It's the green stream. And another one about invisibility and visibility. If you have some FOMO, don't worry, we'll record all of our sessions and they will be available in time after we get some rest after the conference. So you will see just a few months later what did you follow or did you maybe miss in another session. So don't worry about this. We're going to have also an amazing keynote speaker in in about another hour with his Professor Maria Carlotta Chiarolli, and we'll see all of you across this conference in the next few days. So thank you everybody for being here. Enjoy this amazing conference, and of course, be proud of yourselves.